We are here for an exciting afternoon. How is your Tuesday going? Well, actually, if you're on the West Coast, we're still in the morning. So, how are you? This is Judy Weber with the Girls Guide to Outrageous Real Estate Success and Livy Brin Success Boutique. And we had the pleasure of having Katie on our show back in October when we were like 5 weeks old or something. And here we are all these months from then. But Katie, welcome. We're so thrilled to have you here.
Thank you, Judy. It's exciting to be here. And hi to everyone who's watching right now.
Awesome. Well, I would be remiss if I didn't give Katie a proper introduction because she's super duper awesome. Many of you, I'm sure, saw her. She spoke last week at Inman Connect. And, she's a nationally sought after keynote speaker. She is the creme de la creme in the real estate space, among others, but especially she's one of ours in the social media space. So I just want to briefly tell you, for those of you who might not be familiar with who Katie Lance is, so that you know who it is that we're going to be chatting about Instagram with. Katie is the CEO and owner of Katie Lance Consulting, which is a social media marketing firm. Her clients are all the biggies. I think virtually every brokerage, has hired Katie. And her signature great social media marketing, Get Social Smart Academy. I know many of you are in her academy, and that's an awesome program. And it's gotten accolades across the industry. She's a passionate writer and a frequent contributor to many blogs, including Inman and Huffington Post. She was formerly the chief strategist of Inman, and they named her one of the top 100 most influential people in real estate. On a personal note, she's got a great husband and they also have two beautiful kids, and they live outside the San Francisco Bay Area. So once again, welcome, Katie. We're so thrilled to have you here.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Judy. I'm excited to be here too.
Awesome. Well, we're going to start right where it begins, and that is Instagram. And before we jump into my questions, I want to make sure you're following Katie. All right. So her handle is Katie Lance. Am I right about that, Katie?
Yep. Okay, just at Katie Lance. Yep.
And Katie Lance. And ours, if you want to follow Livy Brin, which I hope you will, it's Livy, Livy, Brin, Brynn. We've only been there for about 3 months. Katie's been on for a while. So let's jump in about Instagram.
Sounds
Katie,
good.
I feel like Instagram is it's kind of leaving Facebook in the wind. Am I wrong about that impression?
No, I mean, it's growing like leaps and bounds. I think Facebook is still one of the top social media platforms by far. I mean, it's, got 2 billion users, but, Facebook also owns Instagram. They acquired Instagram a few years ago. And yeah, Instagram is growing by leaps and bounds, and it's changing and improving. We have the Instagram news feed, we have Instagram stories, Instagram live, and now we have Instagram TV. And so I think it's a huge opportunity for agents and brokers to tell their story, give a sneak peek into what they do, share more about their brand and what they're all about, promote obviously their listings and their expertise. And it's still a little bit of a quieter platform. So I think for the agents and brokers who are tired of a lot of the noise on Facebook with political posts and cat videos, Instagram's a little bit more aspirational. It's just it's a little bit of a prettier platform, and so I think for real estate, it's perfect. It's like peanut butter and jelly.
Love it. Okay, so if I'm hearing what you're saying, it's kind of sort of necessary. If you're in this real estate biz, you need to be there. Am I right?
Definitely. Yeah. I think if you would have asked me a year or two ago, I probably would have said, oh, maybe, but it's a huge place right now. It's not just for kids. It's not just for millennials. It's a big opportunity. And I really feel like the agents and brokers who aren't there, you're probably missing a good 40 to 50% of your audience who are there. And a lot of folks are kind of leaning a little bit away from Facebook because of the noise and because of just the overwhelm, and they're kind of flocking to Instagram in a lot of ways. So yeah, I definitely think it's a must-have for sure.
Super. Now, how about profiles? There are so many different types of profiles out there. Sometimes they have hashtags in the profile, sometimes they don't. We have Linktree. I believe you have Linktree. You always have a link in your profile, but can you give us do's and don'ts about your profile on Instagram?
Yeah, your profile is the first impression that people make of you. So, what you want to have a obviously updated photo. I like to have the same photo pretty much across all my social media platforms. So that's sort of first and foremost. And then with your bio, you're only allowed, I think it's like 160 characters. And so what I kind of like to do with my bio is I'll break it up. I actually put it in list format. And I like to use emojis. So I'll put, some different emojis. And I just like to kind of almost like it's a bullet pointed list versus actually, paragraph of text. And I think having a balance of who you are personally, maybe a couple things you're passionate about. Mine says something like family first and wine lover. And then a little bit of who you are professionally. You don't have a lot of space, so you have to kind of, get creative with that. And then also, yes, like you mentioned, you're only allowed one live link in Instagram. And so we do use Linktree. I think it's just linktr.ee. And Linktree is great. There's a free version. There's also a paid version, which is really nice. It's only $6 a month. And what that allows you to do, it allows you to kind of brand this landing page for Instagram. So if you go to my Instagram and you click on my Linktree, you'll see a link to my latest video, a link to sign up for my email newsletter. Like all of our important links are right there, and it's branded to us. So I do think that's important. I like to try to update my LinkedIn profile maybe once or twice a year, just to make sure it's kind of updated. Not LinkedIn, I'm sorry, Instagram. I said Linktree, right. So I was thinking of LinkedIn, but Linktree, LinkedIn, yeah. But I like to try to update it, maybe once or twice a year. And actually, to be honest, that kind of goes across the board. I like to sort of once a year look at all my profiles and just see if there's an opportunity to kind of update them. But your Instagram profile, it's important for sure.
Okay, now right under that are a bunch of circles on yours, right? And it's divided by family and maybe, I don't know, some of your conferences, I can't recall. But can you tell us, first of all, what are they called? Because I'm having a mind blank right now. And how do we use them?
Yes, great question. So underneath your bio, there are these little circles, and they're called highlights. And the way you get them to appear is you have to start using Instagram stories. So if you're not using Instagram stories, you probably won't see highlights on your profile. But once you start creating Instagram stories, which are just basically photos and videos that are a little story that gets stitched together and they last 24 hours and then they disappear. What a highlight does is it allows you to go into your Instagram stories and pull out kind of a highlight reel. So for example, I have a highlight reel of my family. I have one of some of the videos we've done. I have one with social media tips. And what's kind of nice about that is because Instagram stories does expire after 24 hours, a highlight reel lasts forever. So if you have certain things that you really want to highlight, maybe there's certain neighborhoods or cities or things that you're really passionate about, you can go into your Instagram stories and pull down some of those specific highlights. And it just lives right at the top where your bio is. And it gives people a sense of who you are beyond just your bio. So when people are really, kind of interested in what you're all about, they might click through your highlights to see, oh, well, gosh, what is she all about? And it's, I think, just one extra way to kind of build credibility to who you are.
Right. That's great real estate. I couldn't help but say that, right?
It is great real estate. It is great real estate.
So before we get into the meat, okay, I just want a little bit more about the overview. And what I mean by that is, as you said, it's a visual platform. Yeah. So, so many gurus out there have varying opinions on how your page, or I don't know what's supposed to be called, looks. Yeah. Some of them say you should alternate picture, quote, this or that. It's just very structured. And so, what is right as far as how your Instagram should really look?
Yeah, there's lots of different schools of thought. And I've tried just about every different combination of them. I think Instagram is, like I said, it is a really aspirational platform. So I try to look at it with a kind of a balanced view. I like to look at my Instagram. I kind of plan out my Instagram usually about a week or two out, and I'll look at the different types of content I want to put out there. So for me, I'm promoting things like the fact I'm a speaker, or I have a book, or I'm working with clients, or I'm traveling. But then I also want to talk a little bit about what I do personally. So I do try to kind of balance. If I have 2 photos of me speaking on stage, I probably won't put them back-to-back days, right? I like to kind of spread things out a little bit, just personally. I find that when you really connect with someone on Instagram, you'll go to their profile, and it's nice to see someone's profile that's, I think, kind of balanced in a lot of ways. And so for me, Instagram, my feed is not necessarily like something quick and in the moment, although sometimes it is, but most of the time it's a little bit more thoughtful. I try to kind of think about it in a little bit of a balanced way. I also find that by taking a step back and thinking about who it is that you are, what it is that you want to promote, what's your brand all about, it kind of helps you think about that in a little bit more of a long-term vision. And I don't just do that with Instagram. I do that with Facebook. I do that with my other social platforms as well. So yeah, I don't know if there's necessarily right or wrong way, but I also, I'll give another tip. I do like kind of try to stay consistent with my brand colors. My colors are red and kind of this turquoisey teal. And so I think that's nice. I think it's nice to stay consistent. I don't think every photo has to be branded with like your name and your logo. I think you can kind of brand yourself with how your pictures look and how your graphics look and the colors that you use. So.
Okay. The reason I say that is I've heard one guru say, the reason you're not getting followers is because your feed is not appealing enough. And I'm just like, I disagree with that. But would you disagree with that? It's more like content, right? Just the most part.
Yes and no. I mean, I think there's a couple reasons why someone follows you. I mean, part of it is the content in the news feed, right? Someone's scrolling through and they happen upon your picture and they're like, oh, that's really beautiful. That's really interesting. They'll click like, and then they might see another one and they might see another one. A lot of times someone may not necessarily follow you until they actually go to your profile to say, oh, well, what's this person all about? So I think it does make an impact, but I don't think it's necessarily make or break when it comes to followers. I think other things like being strategic with how often you're posting, using hashtags, and then also engaging with other people, I think is one of the biggest things, to be honest with you. One of the biggest ways I've been able to grow my Instagram to, I think I'm over to like 10,400 or 500 or something like that. Is honestly the number one thing is just being really intentional and spending time engaging with people.
So how do you do that? Can you walk us through that, Katie, about your intentionality? Do you time block a time when you go, I'm gonna devote 15 or whatever minutes to Instagram to do that?
Yeah, I've done it a lot of different ways. I usually try every day to engage with at least 10 to 20 people. I shoot for 30, but at least 10 to 20. And that doesn't mean just like clicking like on 10 or 20 things. It means going through my feed and finding 10 or 20 things that I could really authentically comment on and say, wow, congratulations, that's a beautiful photo. Like really authentically comment. That's one thing that's made a big difference. And not only looking at my feed, but also searching hashtags that I want to interact with. So, when you look at your target audience, if your target audience are people who, are searching things like Denver homes, I would search hashtag Denver homes and I would go through and I would like and comment and engage with 10 or 20 people who are using that hashtag, right? And so that is a small thing. That's definitely like guerrilla marketing. It takes time for sure. I think the easiest thing that I try to do is every time I post something on Instagram, I also take a few minutes to engage in my feed and make sure I'm connecting with people. It's not just post and run. So that would be the big thing. Engage with your feed, but also to search for relevant hashtags that are relevant to the market you want to attract.
Right. So I love that. All right. How about, you mentioned when we were talking beforehand, getting ready for today, that, finding your voice on Instagram is really important. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I think it is important to find your voice. I think it kind of goes hand in hand with your voice in general, with how you think about things on social media and how you come across. So, I was at Inman Connect earlier this past week, and one of the speakers talked about how do you find your voice? And I can't remember exactly who it was, but I just remember this graphic of them talking about how your voice is partially what feels really natural to you and what is nobody talking about, and your voice is right in the middle, right? So what feels really comfortable to you, what's nobody talking about, and your voice is kind of in the middle of that. And I think I kind of take it to a step further and think about what is my expertise? What comes really easy for me, right? What do people ask me all the time when they find out what I do? And then how do I sound? What's my personality like? And just being really true to that. I know it sounds super simple and almost trite, but I think if you try to be somebody you're not, you're just going to, that strategy doesn't work very well. You just have to, be who you are. And people will be attracted to that. You will attract the people who want to work with you when you insert your voice, And that's where I think Instagram stories is so powerful, because you're able to turn the camera on yourself. And it's not just, you being narcissistic talking to the camera. You're sharing a piece of who you are. It's a very personal moment in a lot of ways. And I think that's how you connect with people.
That's excellent. I call that personality marketing. And right before this call, we had a session with our group coaching clients, and we were talking with them about how important it is to be yourself, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be this buttoned up professional, with the big shoulder pads like in the 90s. You really need to be yourself. And that's when the connection magic happens. So I think that's what you're speaking to, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think if you think about, I don't know, I think a lot of us like that authentic realness. I was just watching a show the other day with my husband, and, it's always funny at the end. A lot of times you'll see sort of like the blooper reel, or like what, that second or two of what really happened behind the scenes. And I think that's how I think about it with Instagram. A lot of ways, I feel like it's sort of the way to kind of open up, the curtain, open up the kimono, and just sort of share a little bit behind the scenes of the real deal. And especially in real estate, there's so much work that goes into working with clients. And so if you can just kind of give a little bit of that sneak peek into how hard you work and why you love what you do, I think that's really powerful. So yeah, I just think it can really resonate with people, especially if you just kind of let your guard down a little bit. It can be scary because you're putting yourself out there, you're being vulnerable. But I can just tell you, it's so powerful.
Right. I love it. All right. So now we're going to get to some questions that I don't really understand. So this is going to be good. All right. What's the difference between stories and IGTV, and how do you know which you're doing, which you should be doing, or for what purpose?
Sure. So Instagram stories live in Instagram. When you open up Instagram and you are looking at your news feed, you'll see a news feed of photos and videos. That's your regular news feed. But when you look at the top on Instagram, you see these little circles. And those circles are all of your friends and their avatars. And if they have a circle around their face, that means they've created an Instagram story. So an Instagram story is created just within Instagram, and it's either just a quick photo or it's a quick 15-second video. It gets stitched together into your story, which lasts 24 hours. So if you go to Instagram right now, you look at my news feed, you'll see something I posted today, something I posted yesterday, but you'll also see my Instagram story, right? My Instagram story is more of like the behind the scenes. I just did one saying, hey, I'm going live on Facebook Live in a few minutes, right? That's sort of my behind the scenes. Instagram TV is a whole other app. So it's a different app. You have to download it. And Instagram TV is video. So it's vertical video. They announced this probably about a few weeks ago, this whole idea that, for most of us, when we are using our phone, we're holding it vertically. We're holding it up and down. And although there's YouTube and there's Facebook video, there's not a lot of, if anything, any apps that are really conducive to like the natural way we hold our phone. So it's really interesting. It's full video. It's actually a really beautiful layout when it comes to Instagram video. We're still kind of playing around with it and seeing what kind of format works, what doesn't work. What I like about Instagram TV is that it's a place for me to create videos, really. I would say a lot of my videos are anywhere from like 5 to maybe 7 or 8 minutes over there. They're not necessarily the most polished. My more polished videos are over on YouTube or other places. But I think Instagram TV is kind of another way to sort of share a little bit of that behind the scenes that you might share on Instagram stories, but just a little bit of a longer format, right? So if you have a story to tell or an example. The other thing I'll mention too is they talk to each other really well. So if I do a video on Instagram TV, I can go over to my Instagram story and say, hey, I just did a whole video about the 5 things that every first-time home buyer asks me. Swipe up to watch my Instagram TV video. And what's cool about that is regardless of how many followers you have that feature. So if you have 100 followers or 50 or 1,000, whatever it is, you have that swipe up feature, which will link over to your Instagram video. So that was a long answer to your question, but they're like tied together, if that makes sense.
We could stay on this probably the rest of the time. We won't, but all right. So if I get what you said, you have that swipe up feature before you reach 10,000 followers. So you have 5 or 500 or 5,000. That way, that's wonderful.
Yeah, right. It works for Instagram TV. You have to have over 10,000 to swipe up for any other links, but yeah, it's awesome. And I think it's smart of Instagram because they want people to use obviously their Instagram, TV video app, and so to have that sort of like symbiotic relationship that it talks to each other, I think it can make a big difference.
Okay. And so one question just came in: where do I find IGTV? And I know that I get notifications of it when I go into Instagram right at the top. so and so just posted an IGTV video, I guess.
Yeah.
So is there another place to search for them other than that?
Yeah, so that's actually a really great point. And again, great real estate, right? At the very top of your feed, Instagram wants you to go over to Instagram TV, so they will give you a notification every time someone populates or someone posts a new video. You can always just download the Instagram TV app. It is a standalone app, so if you're in iTunes or Google, Android, whatever phone you have, you can just download it, and it's just a separate app, and you can open up the app and search through it. You'll see your followers. It'll show things that may be of interest to you, depending on other things that you've looked at. And I think just like anything else, just play around with it. Before I ever dive into a new platform, I like to be a little bit of a lurker and see what are other people doing with it, what are other people posting, and kind of like what I'm doing. Don't be afraid to kind of try a few different things out. When it first came out, I was on vacation. I'm like, well, let's upload a vacation video. I don't know. Let's see what happens. I think you have to be willing to just kind of try things and see what sticks,
Right. Well, right before I came on, I saw that you posted something, I think in one of your pages, I forget which one, you'll have to tell me, about, hey, check out how these companies are using IGTV.
Yeah.
So what was that so that the ladies can find it, that article?
Yeah, we posted that over in our Facebook group. So we have a pretty big Facebook group called the Social Media Forum, which is primarily real estate agents and brokers and small business owners. And so, yeah, it's been a fun group for us to be able to, share things that are happening when it comes to social media. And yeah, we did post that this morning. It's interesting to see some different companies and what they're doing, from just a small budget scale to obviously, bigger production scale. So
can you tell us just one or two things that you found interesting in that article that we should maybe pay attention to?
Well, I think a couple things. I think you don't necessarily need a big budget to create Instagram TV, which which is great. And I actually think, there's some big companies that are doing some kind of fun things and they're getting creative with it. But I don't know. I just think, especially for the individual agent or broker who doesn't have a whole lot of money to spend on fancy video editing, there's some great apps that are available. Like, for example, Videorama is an app. I've been using that app. That's a great free app. Videorama is one. Video Shop is another one that is great for vertical video. So if you want to take a vertical video and maybe you want to put some text over the bottom, or you want to add your logo or your phone number or something, those are two really great apps. And so I think that was kind of a big takeaway. Is it doesn't have to be super complicated. Just like anything, it's just kind of diving in there and exploring the platform. And then also making sure you're cross-promoting it over on Instagram. So if you do an Instagram TV, because it's linked to Instagram, do a quick Instagram story and kind of tease it out and make sure you're linking back over there. And then also make sure if you're going to create a piece of content, promote it other places. There's no reason you can't take that Instagram TV. You're actually given a link, which is great, on Instagram TV. So you can share that link with your email database. You can share it over on your Facebook business page. So you can tweet it out, right? You can share it in different places. And when I look at some of the companies who are doing that really well, that's something they're doing as well, just kind of cross-promoting their content.
Excellent. And along those lines, when I was doing my research for this interview, they talked about sharing posts, not only yours, but also someone else's in your stories. Can you tell us how we do that?
Yeah, so this is something that gets us fairly new for Instagram. Instagram keeps rolling all these new things out, which is exciting. So as soon as you feel like you figured it out, something new will come down the pipeline, but that's okay. So when you're looking at your Instagram news feed, you'll see, photos and videos, and there's a little heart button, and then there's like the comment button, and then there's like this little paper airplane thing. So when you click the little paper airplane, that will allow you to share it to your story. And so I've been doing this as I'm just sort of, as I do my thing where I'm sort of scrolling through and looking for interesting things, especially inspirational quotes. Like I'm a sucker for a great quote. If I find one that really resonates with me, I'll like it, I'll comment on it, and then I'll click that little airplane and I'll share it to my story. And so what'll happen is that post will pop up in your Instagram stories, and then you can add a little comment. You can say, this really resonated with me. Thank you, Judy. I'll tag Judy, for posting this. And so it's a great way to kind of curate content that maybe you didn't create, but you're giving that person a shout out and you're sharing something that really kind of resonated with you. So you can do that through your regular news feed. And then you can also do that with stories as you're kind of tapping through and watching people's stories. If something kind of pops up, maybe you see an interesting link or something you want to share. Again, same thing. There's a little airplane thing. You click that and you can share that to your story also. So I think that's a nice way, especially if you've just kind of gotten started with Instagram stories and you're not quite sure what to share. If you're kind of on the lookout for things that are inspiring to you, that can make a big difference.
Excellent. Now I'm going to show my newness to this. We do have a marketing person that helps us, because otherwise I'd be like, you know, I like doing things on my computer. Mm-hmm. So many of the ladies, they live on their phones, and I like to do certain things on my phone, but I like to, when I upload a post on Instagram, I prefer to do it on my computer, or I wish I could do it on my computer. But then I kind of sort of think I heard you can do it on your computer, but I have no idea how. Can you help us with that?
Absolutely. Well, I'm kind of the same way. I'm on my phone a lot, but what I found with Instagram, especially with all the hashtags and just really kind of doing it the way I wanted to do it as far as what I wanted to write out, it was challenging, you know? I mean, you could do Siri, you could type it all out. It's sort of time consuming. So I've been using a tool called Later.com. Later.com is great. There's a free version, there's a paid version. And I think what I love most about it is you go to Later.com, it'll ask you to log in with your Instagram account. And basically what you can do all from your computer is you can upload your content, your photos, your videos, whatever it is. You can schedule whatever day you want them to go out, and then you can write the posts. So I don't necessarily believe in scheduling like months and months out, but again, what I kind of like to do is be able to go in and I will schedule out maybe a week or two, maybe at least a few days. I like to kind of just think ahead. It kind of goes back to how my Instagram profile is going to look. What does that balance look like? So I'll go in, I'll upload a few of those graphics, and then I can easily create posts right in there. And it gives me time to kind of think about, okay, what is it that I want to write? You can also save captions, which is great. So I'll save different like hashtags. If I have different groups of hashtags, I can just like click a button and like my hashtags are saved, which is awesome versus like typing them all out. And Later.com also has a feature it'll recommend other hashtags. So if you type in, I don't know, Naples, Florida, it'll give you some suggestions for other, hashtags that are relative to that. And then what'll happen is you can either have it scheduled automatically, which is kind of a new feature, or the way I do it is I will get a push notification from my phone when it's ready to post. So I get a little notification and then I can choose, do I want to post it right now or do I want to maybe wait? And sometimes maybe I want to wait. Maybe I'm in the middle of something else and I just posted something else in the moment. So I want to kind of wait and maybe post that later on. So I love it. It's kind of the best of both worlds. It lets me still have that flexibility with my phone, but allows me to do a lot of the heavy lifting on my computer. So.
Right. Okay, and so in case anyone missed it, it's Later.com. Is that right?
Yeah. Later.com, and you're also going to want to download the app, which is just Later. If you go to I think you just search Later.com inside the App Store. So you're going to want to have both the app on your phone and on the computer. But yeah, it's free, easy, free and easy, which is great.
This is funny because I'm seeing some comments come through, and there's a little bit of overwhelm. But like me, guys, ladies, you just have to do it. And you have to learn as you go. And then once you do, you'll be like, oh, okay. Because even now I'm kind of getting what Katie's saying, and I can't wait to try these things. All right. The next big thing is hashtags.
Yeah.
So again, this is another one where the gurus say, have 3 hashtags, have 30 hashtags, so can you give us the real skinny on hashtags?
Sure. So you're allowed up to 30 hashtags per post. And I usually like to use at least 10 to 15, sometimes 20, sometimes a full 30, depending on what the post is. And sometimes it's hard to think of 30 different hashtags. And that's why using a tool like Later.com is really helpful. When it comes to hashtags, for those of you who don't know, a hashtag is usually one of 2 things. It's either something funny, like hashtag just saying, or hashtag sorry, not sorry, right? Which doesn't mean anything. It's just silly and fun. Or really where it comes to play into Instagram is where it has to do with what it is you're talking about. So hashtag SF, hashtag SF homes, hashtag San Francisco homes, hashtag SF Bay Area, right? I'm using that as an example. I'm here in the Bay Area. And so, yeah, I would say 10 to 15 at least. Hashtags do make a big difference in getting found. Now, if your account is private, hashtags aren't going to make any difference because hashtags are public. So that's kind of taking a step back to thinking about how do you want your Instagram? Do you want it to just be private and just for family and friends? And that's totally fine. If you want it for business, though, I would say make it public, open it up to the public. Think about what you want to post with content, as far as what you're comfortable with. And then hashtags do make a big difference. You can post hashtags either right in your caption, or you can post them underneath in the comments below. It doesn't make any difference. And like I said, if you use a tool like later.com, you can actually save your hashtags. So just make it literally a push of a button and you're done, which is kind of cool.
Love it. I have a couple of follow-up questions, Katie.
Okay.
When in hashtags, so in my studying, because I'm a studier, I'm a lawyer, I do my due diligence, right? And so some say, oh my gosh, don't ever put your hashtags in the, save it for the comments. Don't put it up with the post portion. So do you know why they're saying that, or does it really not matter?
It really doesn't matter. I do know why they're saying it, because it can look really cluttered, right? So if you have a post and it's just like, you've written 2 or 3 sentences and then you've got 30 hashtags, it just looks cluttered and you're not going to get a whole lot of engagement typically. So my recommendation is when you're and this is why it is nice to use a tool like later.com, because you can kind of break up your text. So I usually will like to have maybe 1 or 2 lines of text. I not always, but generally speaking, always add an emoji or 2. That kind of helps break up the text. And then you can do a line break. So if you're typing your caption like, oh, beautiful photo, let me know what you think, leave me a comment below. You can do a line break by hitting enter, and then you hit a period, and then you hit enter again, and you can list all your hashtags below that. And you might have seen this. Like if you look at a lot of my photos on Instagram, you'll see like the caption and then a period and then all the hashtags. And you have to have that period. It sort of fools Instagram into giving you that line break. So you can do it right under your photo. You can go into the comments and leave your hashtags in the comments. I don't think it really makes a big difference if you do it in the captions or in the comments. What does make a big difference is how soon you do it. So if you post something on Instagram and then you go back the next day and post your hashtags, it's not going to be as effective as doing it right then. So it's like that first hour. It's kind of sort of that magic hour when it comes to Instagram. Post them right away, either in your captions or in the comments below, and it can make a big difference.
And is that for purposes of searching that hashtag, so that when you do it later, it doesn't come up as much, or I don't know what the technical word is, but is that what you're referring to as far as timing, or not really?
It just helps getting with especially just anything in general. With social media, Instagram, Facebook, even YouTube is like this. The first hour that you post something, generally speaking, your post gets put out, and based on how much traction it gets in that first hour is how it's going to get seen by more people. Right? So with Instagram, you're not just looking at your timeline chronologically, you're looking at it in an algorithm based on how you comment and interact with people. Same thing with Facebook. That's why we don't see all of our Facebook friends. And we're like, I never see so-and-so, right? And it's the same thing with Instagram. So that first hour, it's sort of that magic hour where you want to set yourself up for the greatest amount of exposure in that first hour. Again, if you're using Instagram for business, if you're just using it personally, no need to worry about it, any of this really. But if you're looking at it as a way to generate leads and business and, connections, that first hour can make a big difference. And so hashtags are one of the biggest ways to get seen by more people outside of just your friends and family and connections on Instagram. So just a little power tip.
All right. Okay. I'm digesting all this. All right. The next one is a pretty important one. So many of our ladies are just getting into Instagram. We are kind of sort of new too. So what's your best tips on really growing your following?
So I would start with your bio, right? That's, I think, the first place. Take a little look at your bio, make sure you've got a photo. I mean, I can't tell you how many people don't have a photo on their Instagram, or they have nothing about themselves. That's like, I know it's so basic, but it's so important. So ladies, today, if you've not done this, go to your Instagram profile, make sure you've got an updated photo, make sure you have 2 or 3 sentences about who you are, and put your website link in there. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but just start there. It's super, super important. And then I would start to say, as you're out and about, look at your life as content. This is one of the first ways that I really grew my Instagram account, is I just tried to be really proactive as I saw a beautiful sunset, or I was drinking a great glass of wine, or I just had a really great moment with a client. I would try to think about how could I capture that, and I would put that on Instagram. That was, I think, one of the first ways that I really started to grow my Instagram, and I continue to do that. I'm in the business of social media, but I'm not on social media 24 hours a day. I have a business to run. I have clients I'm working with and stages I'm speaking on and all kinds of good stuff. So, I'm not on Instagram 24/7, but I try to look for moments of opportunity to share things that are interesting as I'm out and about. For someone who's maybe been on Instagram, you're kind of like, okay, well, how do I kind of take it to the next level? I do think hashtags make a big, big difference. I would start by searching local hashtags that are really local to your area. And I'll just give a quick tip. You know, I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. I probably would not search SF Bay Area because that's like millions of people who are using that hashtag. I would search hashtag Pleasanton. That's where I live, right? Or hashtag Tri-Valley. That's kind of the area that we live in here. And I would search to see who's talking about things really local to me. And I would like, and I would comment, and I'd interact on a local basis. And it's a slow way to build your following, but it is the best way to build your following with people who you really want to attract. Those are your people. Those are your local folks. And that's what real estate's all about. So
I really
hopefully that helps.
I was choking here. No, I love that. I love so many of what you said, capturing and sharing moments. I mean, again, it's all about the personality.
Yeah.
You want those that you want to work with potentially to really get the real you. And so if you, like you say, see a beautiful garden and, you know, gosh, I love peonies, or, you know, whatever it may be, or, hey, don't you love the Phillies? You know, that kind of thing. If you're around here, that would definitely be relatable. So that's really great. How about something I think is new, because I just heard about it this week, and that is Instagram engagement pods.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that like way advanced?
Yeah, it's something that's been around for a while. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. So an engagement pod is like, it's sort of like a secret club of people who get together and they're on Instagram and they promise to like and comment and engage on each other's posts. It's basically a way to kind of game Instagram, because Instagram is all about likes and comments and engagement. And the more you get, the higher rank your posts get. I think it's a game. I don't think it's worth it. There's a lot of things that you can do to sort of beat the system. There's automated bots. There's people are buying likes. I just, in general, don't believe in any of that, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Like, I don't think anybody wins. It might be great to have a vanity metric and say, oh, look, I got 700 likes. But if all those people are fake or they're not real, then what does it matter, right? One of the reasons why we're on these platforms is to use it to generate real business and real leads and real connections. And so, they're out there. I think they're kind of dwindling down a little bit, to be honest with you, because I think Instagram has sort of smartened up to the fact that people are trying to game the system. So I would kind of recommend against it. Just post good content.
to worry about, because there are so many, when you're first getting started with anything,
Sure.
All right. How about this one? Instagram ads.
Yes.
Now, there are ladies that in our group, they just go crazy for Facebook ads, and they get good money after bad. Some are super successful with it. Some are still trying to figure it out. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about Instagram ads, how they differ, or why we want to, post there instead of Facebook, for example?
Yeah. So I think Instagram ads can be really valuable. We run a number of Instagram ads. Instagram is owned by Facebook. So there's a couple different ways that you can run an Instagram ad. When you go into Facebook's ad manager, if you're running ads in Facebook's ad manager, Facebook will give you like 14 different options of where your ads can be. They'll be in the Facebook newsfeed. They'll be in Facebook Messenger. They'll be in the right side of Facebook. And one of those options is Instagram. So you can choose to turn it on or turn it off. If you have a pretty active Instagram profile, it's good to have, I think, an Instagram ad. There's a lot of nuances to Instagram advertising. Just like anything, you want to make sure that your ad, it looks like it lives in the format of Instagram, right? Meaning like it should be a nicely squared photo. It should look like it's part of the Instagram infrastructure, if that makes sense. But what's nice about running your ads through Facebook's ad manager is you have some of the same targeting that you have with Facebook ads. So if you go into Facebook's ad manager and you're running an ad, you can choose all these different options in Facebook, or you can just choose to run an Instagram ad. And you can choose your targeting, you can choose your custom audiences, however you want to target. You can also run Instagram stories ads, which I think is actually really interesting. An Instagram stories ad is usually just a vertical image, or it's a 15-second video. And those ads kind of run in between Instagram stories that people are watching. As far as how much they cost, they're typically about the same cost as a Facebook ad, so you can spend as little as $5 a day. It's nice, again, just like anything else, play around with it, see what works, see what doesn't work. You can also run ads directly from Instagram. If you have an Instagram business account, there's a little button that says promote. Just like on Facebook, there's a little button that says boost. You can promote your Instagram posts. And so you can have it point to your website or a landing page or a video or whatever it might be. So, I mean, again, just like anything else, you want to think about why you're doing it, why you're promoting what you're doing. If you're doing an Instagram ad for a listing, you really want to think about where's that link going, right? Are you just pointing them to the MLS? Are you pointing them to Realtor.com or Zillow? Hopefully not. Hopefully you're pointing them to your website where you can capture them in some way. But just kind of thinking through it, and like anything, a little bit of trial and error makes a big difference also.
Okay, excellent. In the way of ads generally, I watched one of your videos yesterday, Katie, when you say, hey, I'm going to tell you something a little bit different that not many are doing. And that is, instead of for a lead purpose or a conversion purpose, it's more like a campaign of awareness.
Right.
And so are those three, this may sound like a silly question, but are those three possibilities or options available on Instagram? And can you speak to that whole idea of the purpose for the ad?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked me that, because I think a lot of times when we run ads, we are just looking at, does this ad convert, right? And a conversion is usually, did I get a lead? Did someone give me their name and email, right? And conversion ads, whether you're running them on Facebook or Instagram, they can be really expensive. You can be paying $15, $20, $50 a lead. And sometimes it's not even a really good lead. Sometimes it's just, Mickey Mouse. Sometimes it's not even anything real. And so I talked a little bit about this in the video that you mentioned. And the idea is this whole, we've heard of like the whole sales funnel thing, right? Where people are at the top, they kind of know you, they kind of don't know you, and they sort of filter through and they become a lead. So the mistake I see a lot of agents making is they're running all these lead conversion ads and they're running them to this audience that doesn't know them. So if you're running an ad to people between the ages of 25 to 65 who live in Philadelphia, who make over a certain amount of money, and you're asking them for their name and email address, the likelihood that they're actually going to convert into a lead is pretty low, and it's going to cost you a lot of money, mainly because they just don't know you, right? They have no idea who you are. And if you just think about it from a human perspective, we're not going to give our name and email over to a company or a person if we don't even know who they are. Right. So what I was talking about in that video is this idea of there's nothing wrong with running ads for the sole purpose of awareness, right? It's that top of the funnel, right? To speak marketing, I guess, awareness campaigns. And an awareness campaign is something like, a video that you created with the top 3 tips on how to get your home ready for the market. That's content where you're sharing who you are. You're sharing more of the value of who you are. And so whether it's boosting a post, promoting a post, spending $5, $10, $20, just thinking about your ads, not just what you're converting, but just running ads for the sole purpose of someone seeing your face and seeing who you are and hearing your voice, there's a lot of value in that. And so that's a little bit of what I talked about. And I think you can definitely do that with Instagram. As you're building your Instagram audience, you can certainly boost a lot of your Instagram posts that maybe don't link anywhere. Maybe the sole purpose is just for people to go to your profile to find out more of who you are. And that starts to kind of get people in the funnel of who you are. And then you can run other ads to those really warm audiences, people who've already been to your website, people in your database, things like that. So it is a little bit more of an advanced tip, but I think it's important to think about, because I hear agents all the time who are like, I'm spending all this money and they're not converting. I just would encourage you to think about that. It's not just running ads for the sake of converting. It's just like, not to go off on a tangent, but it's just like, when an agent will spend a lot of money on a beautiful magazine ad. That magazine ad is probably beautiful and it's glossy and it'll live in the dentist office and the Chamber of Commerce. It probably is not going to convert right away, right? It's awareness. So just to kind of give that perspective, I think that's important to think about.
Excellent. Well, one thing I realized I missed is, and we kind of talked about it, but I wonder if we could come in and get a little bit more granular or specific, and that is content strategy. Mm-hmm. I believe you have a landing page that says, hey, here's some sample content calendar or something. So can you speak to that and maybe give us an idea of that thought process?
Yeah, I think having a content strategy is super important. It's something we've been talking about for years and years, but especially when it comes to Instagram. We have a content grid on our site that has been really, really valuable for a lot of folks. A lot of people have used it for Facebook, and now a lot of them are using it for Instagram as well. And so if you just go to katielance.com, there's a big button that says content grid, and it's a free download. But what it helps people do is it helps people think about their content beyond the here and now. And so we walk through and we give you 30 plus ideas of what to post and what to create. And when I look at the agents and brokers who are getting a lot of business, especially from Instagram, they are taking a step back and thinking about what type of content can they create, what type of content is going to help tell the story of what it feels like to work with them. And then just, trying to have a little bit of balanced content. Mm-hmm. The other thing I think it's important with content is that consistency. So what will help you be really consistent are doing things like Tip Tuesday, Wednesday Wisdom, Monday Motivation. Like when you start to kind of get into a habit, it makes it really easy to schedule the next couple Monday motivations. It makes it really easy to schedule the next few Throwback Thursdays because you've got this sort of simple routine when it comes to your content. So yeah, planning ahead, that's totally the name of the game.
Okay, excellent. Now what you just said prompted another question for me. Okay, we have Instagram stories, we have IGTV, and then we also have Instagram Live. Mm-hmm. So when would I want to go live? How frequently? That kind of thing.
So Instagram Live it's just like Facebook Live, basically, except it's Instagram. I think with Instagram Live, I don't necessarily recommend going live on Instagram until you have a really robust Instagram profile. Like if you're in the beginning stages of Instagram and you're still trying to just grow your platform, what'll happen is you'll go on Instagram TV or Instagram Live, and you'll have like 3 people who tune in, and it'll be kind of deflating, to be honest with you. It's like, why did I do this? And so I would wait on that probably until you've got a little bit of a following, a little bit of traction. I like Instagram Live. I actually think, though, that I still get more traction on Facebook Live versus Instagram Live. I think Facebook Live has a little bit more bells and whistles. There's more features. There's things like this, like what we're doing right now with BeLive.tv that's not quite available yet over on Instagram Live. So I kind of feel like with Instagram Live, it's still a little bit in the infancy of what's happening. I do think right now Instagram Live is kind of a fun place to do stuff really quickly in the moment. Like if you're at a concert or something really fun that's happening locally and you just want to go live really quick and share that in the moment, I think that's fun. But I don't know. I tend to see agents getting more and more traction over on Facebook Live versus Instagram Live. So I don't know, just a personal preference, at least for right now. We'll see how that changes.
Well, and that was my question too, because, with the algorithm with Facebook, what I'm hearing is that only a fraction of the people on your page are going to see it in the feed if they miss the live. Is that the same way in Instagram?
Yes and no. I mean, again, it kind of depends on the traction that you're already getting on Instagram. If you're already getting a fair number of likes and comments and engagement, you're probably going to see more. You're probably going to have more people on your Instagram Live than maybe somebody else. One thing that's nice is after you finish going live on Instagram, it'll show up at the top. So you'll see people's Instagram stories, but it'll also show that you were live. And they tend to give preference to people who are live. So you'll see, like anybody who is live, you'll see their recordings first, and then you'll see their Instagram stories after that. So, they do give a little bit of preferential treatment for sure.
I remember that, the cute little letters of live on their circle. Okay.
Yeah, it is cute.
All right. How about this one? How often should we post? And is there a better time of day to post than another?
That's like the $1 million question, right? So it depends. If you have an Instagram business account, which I'd recommend for most people, having an Instagram business account is really the way to go, because you can do things like promote your content. You can run ads really quickly. There's some great analytics. And when you look at your Instagram analytics with a business account, you can see when are people on Instagram that are liking my content. So for some of you, it might be Tuesday at 2 p.m. or Saturday at 9 a.m. It's really going to kind of differ. I find for me, I tend to get the most traction around 8 or 9 a.m. Pacific time. And that's just from a lot of trial and error of what seems to work, what doesn't work. Other people get a lot of success late in the evening, 10 or 11 o'clock at night, right? So it kind of depends. I personally like to post to Instagram once a day. I don't necessarily think everybody has to post once a day. I think at least a few times a week. If you really want to grow your Instagram account, at least every other day. You've got to be there. And that's the advice I would give for any platform. If you're going to be active on Twitter or LinkedIn, you can't just post once. You've got to give it the old college try, right? You got to put that effort in. So at least every other day. I recommend every day. And that's just my regular Instagram feed. for the stories, I also like posting in my stories. I'll post a few stories every day. But again, keep in mind the stories are more like off the cuff. They're like as I'm walking around and as I'm, about to go on a Facebook Live or whatever it might be. It's sort of the behind the scenes of maybe the photo I just posted over on Instagram. So yeah, that's what I'd recommend.
Okay, that's so funny that you mentioned that, because I was thinking, wait, I know you post every day, but I also know I love seeing your morning flowers.
Yeah, I post that a lot. And that goes back to what you were talking about earlier, like just being really true to who you are. I mean, for me, I think I don't know if this is just a female thing, but I think in general, we need something that's just ours, like that's just your thing. And lately, my thing's been gardening. I'm not like very good at it, but there's certain things I've gotten a little bit better at. I enjoy it. It's sort of like my time every morning and every evening to like water my flowers, and I love just sort of sharing that. And that's one of the things I share on Instagram that I typically don't really share anywhere else. So just, again, it kind of gives people a little bit of a sneak peek into like who you are as a person,
I love that. I love that. Well, I can't believe it. We have 9 minutes left. So do you have any like tips that you were dying to share today?
One tip I will give you, one of my, people always love apps, right? People always ask me about different apps I use. One of my favorite apps for Instagram stories that I've been using a lot is an app called Storeo. It's just Storeo, Storeo. And what's really cool about Storeo is it will allow you to basically take your phone and you're recording vertical video. And when it saves the video to your phone, it saves it in 15-second slices, which is fantastic because Instagram stories, when you record an Instagram stories video, it's only 15 seconds. So you've got to talk fast, right? And a lot of Instagram stories is always like that pause or the, or like, it's just, it's not very fluid. And so if you want to record something that's longer than 15 seconds, I open up Storeo. I'll like do my quick video. I've been doing something called a question of the day where I'll answer a question that people ask me, and it'll save to my phone. So it'll save in like 5 or 6, little 15-second splices. I can then go over to Instagram stories and then post them one at a time. It's a little bit manual, but it's a nice way to kind of provide a little bit of a longer form content on Instagram stories. And when people are clicking through, there's no breaks. So they just kind of hear me continuously as they're clicking through. And I might add some text on the bottom because I know most people aren't actually listening to me. They're probably reading what it says on the Instagram story. So it's a little bit more of an advanced tip, but I've been using that app a lot. It's just a fun app for Instagram stories.
Okay, excellent. Gosh, I have so many questions just popped into my mind. What you just said about the words coming up underneath the video.
Yeah.
That isn't automatic, right? That is something you as the user need to have, in your arsenal and make it happen. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So, having words on video, I think, is really important just in general. I've talked about this a lot over on Facebook and YouTube. I'm a big believer in getting captions for your videos. There's something like 80% of us never turn the sound on in a video when we're watching it. And so, especially with any kind of video, especially Instagram stories, because a lot of Instagram stories is video. And so I like to, when I'm able to, if I'm not in a rush, I will do my little Instagram video where it's like a little 15-second video on Instagram stories. And I'll just type in a couple words that have to do with whatever it is I'm talking about. So the idea is that even if someone doesn't have the sound on, are they going to get the gist of what I'm saying? I don't have to type the whole thing out, but just, a word or two. I did that this morning. I was on Instagram stories and I said, I've got a quick question for you. And there's a little poll feature in Instagram stories. I said, what do you think? And I asked a question. I said, yes or no. And so I said it out loud and then I typed it out in the on Instagram stories. And the value of doing that is you're going to get engagement. And I would say one of the biggest things that people don't talk about is like the money is in the DM. It's in the direct message. So I love getting comments on Instagram. That's rewarding and gratifying, but I can't tell you how many people will message me because they'll see something and they're like, oh, I totally resonated with this, or they'll ask me a question. And that's where the relationships happen. It's just like over on Facebook. It's not necessarily public. It's what's happening on Facebook Messenger. And it's the same thing with Instagram. When you can start a dialogue where you're like, hey, what do you think of this? Send me a message. Or what questions do you have? Send me a message. And you start directing people to your inbox, so to speak, over on Instagram. That's really where the magic happens. I know it sounds a little corny, but that can just make a huge difference in developing those relationships that will turn into business and leads and everything that we want. So
right.
I'm on my soapbox now.
I love it. I love it. All right. I think we have time for one more thing, and that is these options and filters, be they on pictures or on video.
Yeah.
If you can just tell us some of your favorites.
Yes. So with Instagram stories, one of the things that I really love is that you can have fun and be creative. And that's always been sort of a piece of me that I feel like kind of went by the wayside when I became a professional, right? And so it's fun. You can, there's a little pencil icon. You can kind of doodle. You can type over text. There's different filters. There's some kind of funny filters with your face. I particularly like to, like I said, use the text, to be able to kind of type things out. I will use sort of the little pencil icon to maybe draw a little heart or something. I also really love the GIF feature. And I'm never sure if I'm saying it right. GIF, however you say it. But
we know
I know, right? So within Instagram stories, there is a little button that says GIF, and you can click GIF, and then you can search. So if I want to search for a heart or a house or a door or whatever, I'll search for that, and then it'll pull up a little, a bunch of different GIFs. I can pick one and put it over my Instagram stories. And a GIF is usually like some sort of fun, moving icon. I found one this morning of this like gal on her laptop, which I thought was fun. The reason why this is important is movement creates action. So if you are just doing an Instagram story and it's just like you talking for 10 Instagram stories, and there's nothing on there, I can pretty much guarantee, unless you're like Oprah, people are just going to like click out and go to something else. Yeah. So you want to keep engaged, and sometimes doing something fun like a GIF or something creative with a filter, it can just kind of keep people's interest and engaged with what you're talking about.
Katie, I have one last question that just came in, and that is, you talked about captions. Who do you recommend to put captions, especially over on Facebook, when you're doing a longer video and you're trying to get the entire transcript so they can read it instead of hear it?
Yeah, so we've been using a tool called rev.com, just rev.com. Rev.com is awesome. I've been using it for a year and a half. We use it for all of our videos that go on Facebook and YouTube. We pay $1 a minute for a subtitle file. So if you have a 2-minute video, you take your 2-minute video, you upload it to rev.com, you pay $2, and in a couple hours, they will send you a file with your subtitles, which means then you can go over to Facebook or YouTube, upload your video, and upload your subtitles, and they'll appear on your video. We also use rev.com for transcription. We transcribe all of our videos because I know some people just like to read. Some people don't always want to listen to my voice, and that's fine. So we will get our videos transcribed, put our videos over on our blog, and then we'll take the transcription and turn that into a blog post. So it's been a great way to really kind of repurpose our content. It's like the best $4 or $5 I spend every week to make that happen. So yeah, it's just rev.com.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I'm sure the ladies have tons of other questions, but our time is up. Katie, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. We always love hosting you, so thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Judy. And thank you, everybody who tuned in. If you have any other questions, whether you're watching now or you're watching the replay, just feel free to post them in the comments below or message me. You can Instagram me or reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has. But thank you for having me today. This was so much fun.
Sure, my pleasure. And ladies, Katie is in the group. So if you leave your question below, she will answer it. She's an awesome lady. And remember, at Katie Lance and at Livy Brin. Thanks, ladies, for coming, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Katie.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.